Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Welcome to our Gold Lactation Online Conference 2023. Our presentation today is titled Provider Perceptions of IBCLCs in Primary Care Settings, a Pilot Study, as presented by Hope Lima. Well, we're so glad that you've joined us here today. Now, here is just a brief announcement from Gold. We would like to extend a very special welcome to all of our Gold Annual members who are here with us today. Gold Annual members enjoy special benefits and discounts exclusive to them. Annual members will save 10% off all conferences and events hosted by Gold Learning, and they'll receive 3 additional weeks after the official end of a conference to view their presentations. They can also log into our participants area all day, every day, any time of the year to download their certificates, print past receipts, and review the postings on the forum. The Gold Annual Membership is available to everyone. You can check out all the details on the delegates dashboard. And now, just to have your eyes on the slides here, please view the disclosure slide pertaining to this presentation. It is here for you to view at your convenience. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our expert speaker here today. Hope Lima became an IBCLC in 2017, completed her PhD in nutritional biochemistry in 2018, and became a registered dietitian nutritionist in 2020. In 2022, she completed the FAIR Certificate of Training in Pediatric Food Allergy in order to provide comprehensive care for breastfeeding and formula feeding families struggling with food allergies. In addition to owning and operating Hope Feeds Babies in Rock Hill, South Carolina, Hope is employed full-time at the Winthrop University as an assistant professor and the graduate program director in the Department of Human Nutrition. At Winthrop, Hope runs a research lab that focuses on helping mothers to reach their infant feeding goals, improving access to human milk, and analyzing the nutritional content of human milk. Please welcome everyone, Hope Lima.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. So I am super excited to be here today to talk to you about some research that we've been working on in our lab. The lab that I run is called the Nutrition in Infancy, Pregnancy, and Lactation Lab, SNIPL for short. One of my fantastic students came up with that. And our objectives today are to talk a little bit about how you develop a survey and go through content and face validation, list the top 3 reasons primary care providers refer their clients to lactation support, and describe the barriers that primary care providers report for access to lactation support. So we're actually going to start off with a poll. Tell me a little bit about what your practice setting is. Now, this is going to be important as we go through the presentation because primary care providers are interacting with so many different spaces, right? So it looks like we have almost an even split between inpatient, community showing up there. I personally work in an other setting with research, but I also have a private practice. And it looks like inpatient is starting to lead the way a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. We can go to the next poll now. So, in these settings that you're in, how have other practitioners made you feel as an IBCLC? Have you felt welcomed or supported? Have you felt like you are not a member of the care team? We're seeing already come in less than unimportant. Ooh, we have someone that feels valued. I'm glad and appreciated. I'm glad we're seeing some positive things come in. Optional. That's definitely one that I have felt optional. Not always part of the team. Most have been amazing. So obviously we're seeing that it differs depending on the providers that you're interacting with, probably depending on where you're located in the world. I do feel like though from this poll, I feel like it's more leaning towards the negatives. So let's go ahead and move on to the presentation slides. So, the importance of primary care support. We're going to talk a little bit about what we know from the literature. Here in the US, we have done a better job with initiation. We're hovering around 84%, but exclusivity is where we're not meeting our goals. Still hovering around 25% of the population making it to that 6-month mark. Now, we went into the literature to figure out why is that? Why are we doing so much better for initiation rates, but struggling to get those exclusivity rates up? And we found a couple of different barriers. Actual or perceived low milk supply is by and large a big reason why people stop breast or chest feeding, and we know that. Latch difficulty, insufficient weight gain, confusion regarding milk drug interactions. But the one that we found that we were really interested in diving deeper in was the inconsistent or lack of professional support. Because in my lab, we know that there are lactation professionals that can help with this, but we also know that sometimes we come up against barriers to working with other professionals. So next we looked a little bit into, well, what are the other providers taught about lactation? So I went on a bit of a wild goose chase, I would say, because I didn't really find very much information. I was able to find one. Each of these bars is based on a single reference, so not a lot of information on this. Pediatric residents were reported to get about 9 hours of lactation education during their time through medical school, residency, etc. I found one publication that said family physician residents get about 4 hours, and pediatricians in the BFHI hospitals in the United States we know need 3 hours of lactation education. So we really just don't know a lot about this. Now, this is certainly not to say that there aren't some providers that get more in their residency or in their training, and there are some providers that maybe don't get any, but these were the references in the literature that I was able to find to kind of get a pulse on what are other providers learning about us as lactation consultants, but also about lactation in general. So there were published articles, citations at the bottom. You can see there are concerns with the education that medical providers in the United States specifically are getting. The current literature really agrees that lactation curriculum in medical residency programs is inadequate, and that the education about lactation in hospitals is inconsistent. So not only is it that they're not getting a ton of education during their training, but also it's kind of hit or miss if the lactation education is happening in the hospital setting. But we actually do know that healthcare provider interactions can improve parent self efficacy with breastfeeding. We need providers to be talking about it. We need people to be engaging with the providers around them, learning and getting support and help. You can see that in this study with the intervention group, they were a higher score of self confidence on their scale, 58 compared to 55 at that 4 week mark. And by week 8, 59 compared to 55 about. The control group, what we're seeing stayed about similar. And